You also said that you could have multiple partners, but a female that was with you couldn't also have multiple partners?
Well, a woman could say that same thing if she decided. She could say, I can sleep with multiple men, but my men can't sleep with multiple women if she so choose. We're all free individuals, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't agree if a woman said that.
I would personally find that revolting, correct? But there are women who find what I say revolting.
So you're not telling other people what to think. You're just saying how you think.
I think if a man is not sexually exclusive, it's not the same as if a woman is, because with a woman you have the paternity issue. With a man you don't have a paternity issue. If I have 3 girlfriends and they all get pregnant, we know who the mother and who the father is. If you have 1 woman and 3 men, you don't know who even the parents are if she got pregnant.
Yeah, you could definitely figure that out.
DNA tests are pretty accessible nowadays.
Of course, yeah, that's exactly it. So I said science can step in and fix it, but that doesn't mean it's not haram and against the will of God. Look, read the Bible. Every single man had multiple wives. Not a single woman had multiple husbands. It's against the will of God. It's disgusting in the eyes of God himself.
All right, gentlemen, here we'll discuss the feminist case for marriage, an article written by a feminist named Louise. Let's begin by talking about what we think of what she says. In the 1970s, the United Kingdom became one of the first few countries in the world to legalize divorce without regard to blame. Now that you don't need a valid reason to file for divorce, we expect more people to do so. The fact that the United Kingdom did not adopt this policy until some 40 to 50 years after the rest of Western Europe is hard for us to believe. Although the sexual revolutionaries were correct to highlight the many drawbacks of the monogamous marriage model, it remains the most viable solution to the problems caused by men's and women's unequal investments in procreation. Lee's paper provides an example that shows how the traditional model is superior. The sexual revolutionaries were correct that this model permits mothers and children to be physically together while also giving financial support for it.
So tell me about your stance on feminism. We were talking that you hate feminism.
Well, I mean, I don't hate feminists, but I do hate the feminist movement. Hate it.
Why?
Because I think it's a scourge on society. I really, really, really did wonder, where are the men? Where are the men to stand up and say the things that they're saying are not true? And so I encourage you to be strong men. And
I like to think of myself as the alpha male's alpha male.
Are you kidding? That's beautiful.
The alpha male's alpha male.
That's like the top of the alpha male chain.
Top of the chain. Even alpha males need somebody like, who's the alpha of the alphas? I like to be the alpha with a capital A.
I have to follow you just because I love alpha men.
I crush people with my sense of humor and my wallet.
However, the monogamous marriage model faces many challenges in today's society, where labor-saving tools like washing machines and gas heaters are widely available. Traditionally, mothers have stayed at home to raise their children while fathers have gone out to work. Mothers of young children can now join the majority of us who hold down jobs outside the home because managing a household now requires less time than it once did. However, being a successful mother and a successful breadwinner at the same time is an impossible task for single mothers to accomplish, especially on a limited income. It's impossible for a mother to do everything required to raise a happy and healthy family on her own. Using the institution of marriage as an example, Lise argues that feminists are both right and wrong. She prefaces her counterargument by saying that modern weddings are so expensive that would-be spouses have to wait to tie the knot until they have amassed enough money to throw a lavish ceremony. She also places the blame on men, claiming that we are only interested in gratifying our sexual desires and maintaining intimate relationships. When it comes to marriage, males, for some reason, are terrified of making a long-term commitment. Lise does not support the idea that the traditional institution of marriage should be brought back into practice. Remember that the top 5 to 10% of males don't engage in a lot of sexual activity, but it seems like she's placing the blame squarely on the shoulders of the men. In actuality, it seems like she's placing the blame squarely on the shoulders of the men. She made disparaging statements about the ladies those men were sleeping with, claiming that the women are very eager to disclose their sexual encounters. She made these assertions. She also has a retort, which is presented here, and she also stated that we would require technology that discourages male sexual conduct that is short-term in order to modify the incentive structure so that it protects the financial interests of the mother and fosters a secure environment for raising children. They already have such a technology, and it is known as monogamous marriage. Despite the fact that it is archaic, uncomfortable, and frequently prone to malfunction, they already have such a technology. Now let's take a look at it this way. Women started their liberation movement in the 1960s and 70s, and the sole cause of this movement was to escape the traditional marriage system. They started getting more engaged with several men at the same time and gave birth to many illegitimate children. Their need for intercourse and to wear revealing clothing to attract more men towards them was the only purpose of starting this liberation movement. They were so fed up of conventional marriages that they ended up being unmarried for the rest of their life. In 1968, 8% of the children in America were born to unmarried parents, which grew significantly in the next few years. Feminists portrayed this as a sliding win by manipulating the statistics and portraying it that there were fewer divorces in society after the introduction of feminism and understanding of equality. However, here is the loophole. There were fewer divorces, and the divorce rate decreased drastically because there was a significant increase in live-in relationships and unmarried couples. So, think logically, if there aren't many marriages, of course the divorces will also be fewer. Now that the woman is not married to the man who is also the father of her child, there is no way she could sue him for his absence in the upbringing process. Louise mentioned that as heroic as single mothers tried to be, they always failed to raise respectable citizens of the country. Boys who grew up without a functioning father are more likely to indulge themselves in crime and get jailed at an early age. And talking about the girls, they are more likely to get impregnated in their teens because they crave casual sex and feel obligated to walk on the footprints of their mothers. All these are big concerns for feminists who once used to brag about being single moms. They realized that they have to work harder, and the results are not as per their expectations, which is why they tried pulling the reverse card and started getting married to men so that they could rely on them and feed on them like a parasite to take away all his money, resources, and reputation in the society. These feminists have started using the concept and pious relationship of marriage as a trap to satisfy their greed and hunger for money. This way they turn a marriage into a curse for a guy who was looking for a happy family and not a crafty witch to whom he would come back home to. So, it is important for men to understand that when these feminists initiate the topic of marriage, you need to be very cautious, because not only are they looking at you as a lifetime investment, but also as a hen that would lay gold eggs for her and your children, who will be used against you to cash out as much money as she wants. Men, on the other hand, become victims of their emotions and give in to women's malpractices. The end of the article states that Louise views a marriage as a transactional concept where the woman is being immensely benefited, whereas the man often is stuck in a vicious cycle that will leave him bankrupt and insane for the rest of his life. That's it for today's video. Meet you tomorrow. Till then, keep consuming your daily dose of Red Pill.